Hello, everyone. I'll say everyone, could be a few people. I really don't want to be on too long today, so this is really just doing a video rather than doing a video and then uploading it. And this is, I think everybody's picking on Dave, but I'm not picking on Dave. You know, he sent a message after I sent a message, and basically what I do is I try to get people to say something that they wouldn't normally say because I've said something. And they believe that I've said something that helps them. And basically, it's not a lie. It's a statement that people think they need to respond to, and then I can respond to that statement when they respond. Hi, Golden Key Growers. Good afternoon. How you doing? So I want to talk about the chest and the museum. So people are saying that they found this chest that Forrest hid, and it's theirs, and everybody's a fraud with regard to who's involved in it. But from my understanding, being in the chase, Forrest said he wanted the chest to go back. At the beginning that I knew of when I came in. So he wants the chest to go back. Well, therefore, nobody's going to get the chest. So why are you looking for the chest if you're not going to get the chest? Because the chest is going to go back to the museum. That doesn't make sense. Or does it? Because Capro confirmed in the interview what Forrest was saying. Or Forrest confirmed after Capro asked the question. Does the finder get to keep the chest and the contents that are in it? And this is just paraphrasing. And then she had to say it again. And then Forrest said, well, I said in my poem, I'll give you title to the gold, which means, no, you ain't getting it. You ain't getting it. You're supposed to donate it, which is what he said. Just, in my opinion. So if he's saying that you're not getting the chest, why are you all screaming that you found a chest? And why are you saying that you've been done out of it when you're going to give it back? Because Forrest said at the very beginning that you were going to give it back because he was hoping that it would get donated to the museum. Or at least that's my understanding of it. So what is a museum? Excuse me. Or what could the words, what could they be meaning? What could be said? So obviously you can't see it. I would prefer it if I could share screen, but I can't do that, unfortunately, on YouTube. So a gallery, and you don't have to believe me, but this is a word here, Poap. You can check it if you want. I haven't lied to anybody yet. I don't intend lying to anybody. Everything that you see is what I call facts because they are the written word. Center, which is obviously the middle. Treasury, vault. So it's going to a vault. Library, go to a library. A memorial. Dave, man from the east, not the man from back east, just someone from east, out east, but not back east. Come from the east and back east. Not that person, just a man from the east, not a man from back east, or even a shy guy from back east, because obviously you're not very shy. So you're not a shy guy and you're not from back east. I don't know. So the memorial, Angel Fire, was it there? Did you go past it? Maybe. Did you? Could you? Maybe. A memorial, that could be the other memorials that have been talked about, it doesn't have to be that one. So maybe. This is what I have to think. Hang on, what if? Art centre, an art gallery, an institute, a registry, an office, archives. Now it gets stupid stuff. So storage. People talk about storage rooms. Even just had a notification now. Somebody doing a storage thing. So obviously K-Pro and K are doing storage. And what I assume is methods and messages or whatever. Used to be AGK are doing similar storage stuff. Safe. The chest is in a safe place. What does safe mean? Magazine. Well, Forrest through Time magazine in the waste. Is that what we're going through? Are we wasting time? Is all this rubbish time being in the bin? And at some point it will come out of the bin? Did Forrest throw this time in the bin? And this time that we're all going through is the magazine that was in the bin, but at some point Forrest takes it out. Cash, bank, treasury, vault, archive, my team Arsenal, gallery, lockup. There's Mr. Garner, the Maverick. Treasure house, a reservoir, a fund, a barn. Well, the cow was further back in the barn. A larder, a bin, a locker, a mine, a reserve, a pool. I wonder if Suzanne Summers is there. A treasure chest. This is all museum. Going back in the museum. What was he talking about? A treasure trove. Source. A shed. A register. A crib. A cellar. You might not remember these things, but these are scrapbooks that Forrest gave out talking about stuff. Oh, Dave, a fort is a museum. It's going back in the fort. Fort Knox, not Fort Sill, Fort Knox. Actually, that's where they do gold, isn't it? At Fort Knox, not Fort Sill. So you could lend some credence to that fort or an other fort. As I've mentioned that are in the poem, there are many forts in the poem. Not a thought, a fort. Yard. Oh, terminal. What everybody thought was terminal cancer. An elevator. Like I say, you might not remember these, but definitely talked about. A tank. Get in the box, get out of the box. Box. Bill will know this. Well, probably know the Emporium, but will definitely know Oracle, Vessel, War Chest. There are others, I'm just doing ones that you should, if you've been in the chase and if you bothered to listen to Forrest, would have heard about. Plant. A dump. Is that a scrap yard? You just had yard. A dump. A bottomless well. A collection. A well. A fountain. A stream. Remember the babbling brooks and the streams? Force. Oh, does it go to the Air Force? Body. I'm going to throw my body. If it ever comes back, I'm going to put my last gasping breath. A holder. A seedbed. A cradle. Oh, just for you, Dave, we have case and number. So you have your museum and your museum. You have your museum, your case number. Trunk, is that Fetching's trunk? Chest. Holdings, is that an LLC? Treasure. Walking encyclopedia. Drop. Kitty. Is that the one that got squirted with the cow milk? That was further back in the barn. Hidden treasure. So it's going to go back as hidden treasure. Ooh. Back in hidden treasure. Ooh. So, what is a museum? Oh, wow. Said a lot. Truth seeker. Here, what's going on here? Not much truth seeker. Just trying to trying to give some information to Dave, man from not back east, just the east, about you don't know what's being said, so how can you give an answer to what's not being said? By reading the poem, I can't quite figure out how to. So I said I want to give it away. You all remember my statement. Right, back east is someone who once lived. Yes, back east is someone who once lived in the east. You just hot down here in New Mexico. I didn't know you were in New Mexico. Have you changed your personality? It's really hard to answer truthfully, isn't it? It's really hard to answer truthfully, isn't it? I'm not quite sure what you're trying to catch me out with there. It's really hard to answer truthfully, isn't it? Forrest said, you have to tell the truth, but you don't have to tell all the truth. And he basically said, Dad, I got in trouble today, not because of what I said, but because of what you said. You said that the teacher was, whatever he said, an old bat or something. And because I repeated that you said it, I got in trouble. So his father couldn't do nothing. Because it wasn't Forrest's words. Forrest was just stating a fact from somebody else. So you tend to believe other people's facts rather than what's really happened. Forrest said he would like to see it go, just paraphrasing, go back to a museum. And you all went looking for this chest and didn't even give a thought about donating it back to the museum, which meant you weren't going to get it. And you weren't going to get it because it says in the poem you're not going to get it. It says you're going to get title to the gold. So you're all creating that you found a chest that you deserve, that you think is yours. And Forrest says you weren't going to get that chest. You're going to get title to the gold. And he reiterated it in the 2019 interview with Cave Pro. When Cave Pro said, this chest that you lot are all shouting about, that chest that you're all going, it's my chest! Forrest is a liar, he's a fraud, it's my chest! And you're trying to sue Shiloh, because it's my chest! And you have all the answers, and it's the one true soul, whoever you are, everybody's saying roughly the same sort of thing. Forrest said, title to the gold. So why are you shouting about the chest? Because you were never going to get the chest. And if you got the chest, you're going against what Forrest was saying. He said, I want to donate that chest. I'm sure he said the Smithsonian, but I could be wrong. So if he's going to donate the chest, and you were only going to get title to the gold, then you should be screaming, donate the chest, donate the chest. Give me title to the gold. Which is probably why Jack said, is this the chest in the book, The Thrill of the Chase, which has gold in it, which went to auction and made some money? Is this the chest with the gold in it? Not the chest you're all looking for. Is this the chest with the gold in that may give me title to the gold? Could you be asking those questions? What if you should be asking those questions? What if the chest was going to go to a museum? And like Forrest said, you, all you people who have sold it, you, man from East, you found this chest? No. And even if you did, you don't have that chest. It's not yours to have. Forrest said, responding to K-Pro in the 2019 video, I said in my poem, I'll give you title to the gold. So how does that make you? How, before you go to court, how does that make you the owner of a chest that you never found, that you were never going to own, and you're only ever going to get title to the gold? How does that make you that person? It doesn't. So rather than make yourself look silly, don't do it. Don't do it. Now, I wrote that the true soul will come out because, I'm not talking about yours, talk about true soul. And if I was involved in it, I would just say that, Judge, can I approach the bench, please? I can't let Dave come up because obviously Dave's, fending for himself. And I can't tell you what the answer could be because he's going to know and he's going to go and tell everybody. Or he's still going to bitch about, being done. So can I just tell you what the answer is, which will take 5 minutes? And then you can laugh your head off for about, 3 of those minutes and then come back out and dismiss the case because it'd be a waste of time. Because the answer It's not looking through 50 million comic books. It can't be. Forrest said, all you need, and it doesn't matter what other solve there is, people keep going about their other solves. All you need is the poem. All you need is a poem. So if you've got a poem solve, Tim, Queen, Steve GTA, that person who can't remember, and I can't remember because nobody else is pointing it out, but oh, dear, not. I can't remember, but somebody was said to have been doing it before me. Not, if they have and did, and they're the person that got in touch with Forrest, and Forrest made this happen the way that it's supposed to be, then that's good. That's okay. But if you've got a poem solved, then you've got every chance of donating the chest and getting Todd to the gold. That's what Forrest said in the 2019 interview. Capro asked the question specifically: does the finder get, whatever she said it was, the chest? And Forrest said, well, I said in my poem, I'll give you title to the gold, which is a clear no. You're going to get title to the gold. And that would back up the fact that Forrest originally said, when I came to chase what I know of, is that he would like to see the chest go back to the museum. So surely a decent person who is the finder of the chest would donate it back to Forrest and give it to the museum. So you're never going to get it. So you can't claim that you own it. You can't claim that somebody stole it from you because it wasn't yours to be had. You were supposed to get title to the gold. Now, I could be totally wrong, but the way that I heard it and the way that I see it is that you're going to get title to the gold. That's what it says in the poem. Take the chest and go in peace. If you're brave in the wood, I'll give you title to the gold. That would explain why, after doing the end of getting the chest, you would have to be brave and in the wood to get title. Bill's here. Hi, Luck. When do you think you'll be done with the script? I haven't got a script, unfortunately. Take the chest of King Kong. I think Moses' DNA is in the chest. Well, that's another, obvious thing that Forrest has done and nobody seems to know. Yeah, I was talking about the wise men earlier. That's the bill they do. That's what we're looking for. So do stupid men. Yes, stupid men come from everywhere. These are not the wise men you seek. Will make Woodard a president. I should have known. Vaccinated. I don't know what that means. I haven't got vaccinated in my synonyms, so I did mention today that he should look up the word warm. Now, if he's a real searcher, he won't. And if he's not a real searcher, he won't. So I don't think he'll look it up. And also court. There are words, when you see them and see the synonyms, you just go, no way. No way. And another thing, if I was there, I'd say, okay, then Mr. Dave Woodard, man from the East, who's not from back East, who is not shy. Okay, explain why Forrest made the statements that he did. Leave your friend in the car. Did the hot water effect for Tina. I went outside for elbow room. And the rest of them, first two clues. Little girl from India. If I told you the home of Brown. Explain those statements. I don't know, Superman in the solitude of Fortress. Fortress of Solitude. I can make the same solve with Valiant and Daredevil. That solve is, probably took a lot of doing, but I could just change the name and use another name and still get the same sort of answers. I think most of them have been for making a precedent. High imagination of innocence. Imagination of innocence. How are you? Thank you. I do appreciate it. Thank you, I appreciate those comments as well. There's a name I don't know. Yeah, well, throughout all of it, Forrest said, having fun, and that would, depend what your interpretation of fun is. But Forrest also said, use use the blogs or vlogs for entertainment only. This is supposed to be fun. That's what he said. Or a game, even, or the thrill of the chase. So, my interpretation of the chase is look for the truth that Forrest gave you. He said you won't find it where you're looking. You won't find it where you're looking. What? I think if you ask anybody who has a soul, and it's hard to know who's real and who isn't. I know you're real, but it's hard to know who's a real person and who isn't. If you ask anybody who has a soul and ask to explain the statements from Forrest Fenn, they won't be able to. Now, I know for a fact, absolutely 100%, there are souls that you can have, including, Dave's soul and other people, Five Leaf, everybody else. Those souls are believable, and I've had many believable souls. But when you put them against the statements of Forrest, like solving the first two clues, even that, Dave tried to twist. He did a picture of the cross with the nail going down. It's like, Dave, that was for the first clue. That's for where warm water's halt. If you don't have that nailed down, not if you don't have the last clue nailed down, it's like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to force? You're trying to force this because you're giving the wrong answers to the wrong clue. The first clue needs to be nailed down, not the last, found across. I don't know. I don't know how far some people go. Welcome to Forrest Fenn's Puppet Show. Bring your own strings. What? Yeah. And the hole in the wooden hand. Oh, right, okay. It's even, I don't know if you saw the screenshot, the donation for this video. I don't know how anybody has missed that statement or ignored it or I've interpreted it wrong. But I'm sure he said, Forrest said, I'd like to see it go back to this. I'm sure he said the Smithsonian, but I could be wrong. But there's definitely a museum in that. So if I'm looking for a chest, then I'm not looking for me. I'm looking for Forrest. Because Forrest put it out there, and then when it's found, it needs to go back to the museum. And if you send it back to the museum, then maybe you'll get title to the gold, whatever the gold is. I said to David B, it doesn't matter if it's a cup of tea. His gold synonymous cup of tea. What matters is, you're trying to make it work. Forrest is going to make it happen the way it's supposed to happen. Now, I was going to show you the redneck and 12 kids in the poem, but I can't share the screen. And next to that, there's other information about getting title to the gold and the answers. But you say to anybody who has a soul, okay, then why did Forrest say a redneck and 12 kids from Texas who's lost his job, etc., etc.? Why did Forrest say that? And they won't be able to answer it. But Forrest absolutely said it for a reason. And he gave everybody the chance because it said it's there to aid the finder and not the seeker. So therefore, if you find something that's come from Forrest and you use that all the time, each time that Forrest gives you something, you're able to find it. And you're able to understand why he says, if I put it in the same place, no one's ever going to find it. You understand all the statements. And there's no need for all of this crazy stuff, other than, it provides chaos and, too many people to prosecute because not everybody can be the solver. Yeah, I think Dave Paisano was talking about nuts. Even that, you wouldn't believe what nuts synonym to, and nutty. You wouldn't believe it. He's doing the bottle caps and the beers, and is that the six pack? Celebrate the end. I'm 8 of the 9, so Bill, that's me and you then, and I might put David B in there as well. He's a bit nuts. Even the 10%, good. I can't say lad or lass because I have no idea, but even in today's world, I would have to say person, which is strange because Dave is basing his soul on Superman, and at some point, I'm sure they'll get at it. It'll have to be super person, or super them, or super they, or super it, or super thing, or whatever. I'm not knocking, those people. I'm just saying, look, this is getting crazy now. Let's just try and get some sensibility into it all because it just won't make sense. We'll live in a world that doesn't make sense, and you can't keep trying to please the minority. You can't do it. It just won't. It just won't work. You have to take into account, their sensibilities and that, but you can't please the minority in order to screw over the majority. It doesn't make sense. And I'm not being, whatever ist that is. I'm not being that. Just trying to look at it, with open eyes. It's just, this is crazy now. I have no idea how this can be good for anybody. That's just the cover, my cover, your cover. What, being nuts? Absolutely. Chestnuts high, Michael P. There's some different names on here. DZ12. He could be, you're right. 100% right. Even that, the 9 clues. Truth seeker. Well, you sound like Greg if you're the truth seeker. Then Forrest wouldn't be helping you because you're a seeker and not a finder. You're the title holder. Cool. I like title holders. So, the truth, you can't handle the truth. You may well do. There are people, like with Dave, I say things in order to get a reaction, so then I can give a reaction. So some people tell me the truth, like In Velvet was mentioned the other day. Now, there's a reason why that was mentioned. And I don't believe it was part of the conversation. I thought it was, something else. Sometimes you get answers that you're not expecting from places that you're not expecting it. The poem hit all of us, but that's just if you can believe that everybody who's here is a searcher of the Forrest Fenn treasure. That looks very weird because it almost looked like you're getting ready to pick your nose there, Truth Seeker. Although, yeah, that Greg. Like I said before, I have no qualms with anybody in the chase. The only person that really said anything that upset me a bit is being called a clown. I don't like being called a clown. I'm trying to be honest and open with people. It's called a clown because of that doesn't sit well. Although when you look at what a clown is, it's probably not that much of an insult. Depends which way you want to take it and which way it was said, I suppose. So we're looking at a museum. Forrest was going to put the chest. Forrest was going to put the chest, or hopefully the chest would go back, which meant nobody was going to get it, and they were going to get title to the gold. So anybody who's claiming that they have a chest that should be theirs should be claiming that they have a chest that they want to donate back to Forrest Fenn in order that he may give back to the Smithsonian or whatever that may be. And it also explains why Jack said, "Is this the chest that's in the Thrill of the Chase book, and not the chest that you're all supposedly looking for that is going to go back to a museum when when and if?" Hey, pirate, how are you? Well, you missed the bit that was. I don't think I've even told Davey this, but the redneck with the 12 kids, lost his job, etc. There's some information around that, but that's in the poem. So what I'm trying to say to Dave, man from the east, not from back east, who's not a shy guy, before you go to court, I hope they ask you to explain all those statements that Forrest made with regard to your soul and why they, affect your soul and have relevance to your soul. Because I'm pretty certain when they ask you why Forrest had a redneck and 12 kids who's lost his job, etc., you won't know what that was about. Go back to your shit. Hey, Don Quixote. According to the picture, you're riding it. What a mighty fine ass it is. There's nobody walking the plank today, pirate. You're alright. I see people trying to guess who you are. It's crazy because, firstly, it's hard to know who is who in the zoo, as it were. But then those people who are in the same zoo, it's hard to know whether you're one of the animals or whether you're somebody on the outside looking in. Yeah, you don't want to push pirate. He has the power. I don't know if he's from Texas. I think if you look at it logically, so like Forrest said, deep thinking, searcher using logic can find it. If you look at it logically, everything that Forrest said is truthful. It's just our interpretation of a simple truth, I can't remember it right. Secret treasure and an outrageous dare, or something like that. It's like, are they two different things, or are they the same thing? You know, and hint of riches and hint of riches new and old. Are they two different things? Same thing? Talk about the same thing? Like that word "and." We're not sure what that was all about. Hi, David. Enjoyed your beer can stuff. I was hoping, along with Davy B, that it was the 6-pack that was required should the chest be found and you're at the end of the journey. Can you believe that is Mario blocked by my buddy Paul? I would believe that you're Paul, but I don't believe that Mario's blocked anyone or that Paul's blocked anyone. Just now waking up to the fact that you're in the chase, or just now waking up for real, just now waking up. Really, you should be 7 hours behind me, which is not, waking up time. It should be dinner time, at least. I blocked Paul. I haven't blocked Paul. I have not blocked Paul. I blocked Troy accidentally. I think I blocked him when I was trying to block those bots, those sex things that came up. And that was, when I was first doing this, because, trying to find my way around the place. I don't think I've blocked anyone else, unless if I have, I've done it accidentally. Oh, looks like Ghost Starter's in because the emojis are flying up the face. No, I don't remember blocking anyone. Not intentionally. I will look later and see, and if I have, I apologise and then I'll unblock. I've no reason to block Paul. If I was going to block Paul, I'd have blocked Paul when he was on the show and in chat. Nice one. I haven't blocked anybody before I plundered their shit. Yes, you blocked Paul. He just called me. Checked his comments. I'm not being shown. Pirate, have you blocked Paul? No, I think you're telling Forkies. I wouldn't block Paul. I don't even know how to. I don't even know where to look to find out if I have blocked Paul. No, I won't block him. No, I know you haven't, Pirate. I don't think anybody has. It is on live chat. Oh, them? Yeah. I can't see Paul in chat either. My shit don't sink. No, we're on with the surfers again. You know, there's only so many surfers that can be in the chase. No, nobody's blocked. No one's blocked. You're definitely not blocked, Golden Key Rose. There are 19 people in this room, and 6 or 7 are talking. All those other people aren't blocked either. Ligma, David, Bill, Pirate, Truth, Golden, that's 6. Imagination, Don Quixote. I'm not sure if there's anyone else. Michael P. Oh, Michael Palin just came to my mind then. I think that's it. Pure Blood. With a strange comment. You're not King Block because I can read you. I can read you, Paul. It says, I'm effing blocked. So you can't be blocked if I can read you saying that. Hi, Luck. Oh, yes. Sorry, Luck. So anybody in chat is not blocked, including you, Paul, who's saying I'm effing blocked. I have about 33 personalities. Just avatars are in your head. Forrest looks like Hemingway's son. Well, Forrest says he's not religious, but Ernest is. If you look up the synonyms of something. And he did say that Ernest was writing about him. Forrest looks like Hemingway's son. Does he? I know Hemingway was in Wyoming, wasn't he? Was it Hemingway? Who was the man with the tash that was top of Wyoming? Fishing. One of those people anyway, probably an artist. Don't know I was blocked, so we don't have control of your channel. Obviously. Trust me, I screenshot everything. Okay. Well, I've only got one moderator on me. And the moderator is Pirate, he's there, so have you upset Pirate? If you've upset Pirate, then hi, Mr. Pie. Don't eat. Don't Well, if you're going to screenshot everything, that is, who would that be? Second to Barbara, probably. If you screenshot everything. And no offense, Barbara, I'm just saying, you have reason probably to screenshot everything. So this is basically just to say to Dave, what you think you read on Paul's video. No, I wasn't talking about your true soul. Hi, GDR, how are you? I'm sure you were here anyway because I saw those things go up in the air. Well, Forrest liked pie, an apple pie. So, and he liked the beautiful old lady that would break it in half in order that he could get to for a nickel. I say a penny then, a nickel or whatever. Another thing that Forrest said was, a failure if you die with more than $50 in your pocket. So, why use $50? Why is it $50? And why are you a failure if you die with more than $50? Cherry pie. Some slapstick. Those are the things that you should be thinking about, really, in regard to who is calling Forrest a fraud and who is saying that they have a chest that wasn't given to them, even though they found it. Because it wasn't supposed to be given to you. You weren't supposed to have it anyway. You were supposed to give it back to Forrest and let him put it in a museum and get title to the gold. According to my memory of what Forrest said, I would hope that it would go back. So the people that claimed that they were owed something obviously didn't hear what Forrest said. And the words in the poem, that's another thing you could ask Dave. Dave, what's the key word? What's the word that is key in the poem? And what are the other key words or the words that go with it? Because you need all of them. How does that relate to your soul? And it's like you ask people who've got souls that say they're the solver. They can't tell you why Forrest said the things that he said. Should be able to. Did everybody hear that I'm dating Candy now? Only if your name is I'm. And I'm dating Candy. No, nobody's heard that you're dating Candy now. Because nobody knows who you are. So that would be an impossibility, wouldn't it? Unless you are indeed Paul, who is now Ligma Johnson, and then back to Paul. But if that's the case, and you are Paul, where's my money? You're going to give me and Candy some money. Congratulations. That's a Cliff Richard one. Go for it. I don't want to sing it now. Congratulations. Excuse me, it's hard to congratulate you if we don't know who you are. That was a statement before. Being a sugar daddy. And was it 100,000? I can't remember how much it was now. Not everybody thinks that she's bad. So, another poor choice of words. Hi, Steve. I didn't get your statement. It was a very good rhyme, but wow, I'm not a jerk, I'm high, and then the rest of it. Let's see. Yeah, I was referring to that luck. because nobody knows who he is, apparently, according to Forrest. Was not much. No paddle, that's for sure. Sometimes. Well, if you had the nay on the end, you could be Malaga or Marlig. He's on the corner. Are we talking about Ulysses? I don't know your money, but I think that's who I'm talking about. Not Cary Grant. His daughters didn't know who he was, or something like that. Yeah, an important figure in your history, and potentially in the chase, depending on what you want to believe is a good solve or a bad solve, or the right solve or correct solve or a winning solve. Yeah, this was. I wouldn't say I was irked. It's just, even though it's hard to know if Dave is for real or not, whilst people are egging him on to lose everything that he's got, that's not the right thing to do. To just convince someone that they should, be destitute, as it were. And like I said before, you have to be human first, and then worry about the chase afterwards. Peggy. Hi, Robert G. How are you? Good to see you here. Peggy, can't say as I remember the film, but according to Ben and Alan Kelly, yeah, he's a really good fisherman at Narma Hole or somewhere near there. I think the information that Forrest gave us was all truth, but maybe not all of the truth. Hey, Trusted, how you doing? Some people in. I remember, I've already been thinking about that, but I remember Tyrone Power. But I also remember Errol Flynn. Now, if Ashley and Tyrone are related, then I'm reluctant to say that Errol Flynn was the parrot, or we'll talk about Dave. Yeah, it's hard to know what is real in the chase and what isn't now. I'm not used to things not being as they seem, and people doing and saying stuff that may just be to aid, time being thrown in the waste, because that's what's happened here. We're just wasting time, with all the chaos. So Forrest threw Time magazine in the bin and then took it out afterwards. So whilst this time is waste or rubbish or fraud or whatever you want to call it, we're going through that point where time was in the bin and it's shit, for want of a better word. So wait for the time to take it out again. Ashley Flynn. No, I know. Maybe Finley would be a good name. I don't underestimate that Casper area, Rob. The Casper area was the place that I went to when I went to the US, and the Pond of Truth, which is or could be very helpful in this situation. And the witches and Bambi and the frogs and all of those things that Forrest talks about in scrapbooks and that are all in that area. And I should be ashamed of myself for not remembering the lady's name who set up that retreat, I suppose you could call it. And there was a fire there as well. I can't remember her name now. Should shoot myself for that. So that's why I went to Casper for lots of reasons. One of them for the anagrams, but other information as well. Because remember, I just use the poem, find what the poem says, and then use that information in order to craft a solve. So with that information, so the anagrams, start at one part of Wyoming and end up at Casper. The Crimson Dawn part of that, where there was a fire on the other side, etc., etc. So no, I don't underestimate Casper, but like I said, I can find pretty much everybody solve with regard to the poem, or even outside of the poem. If I just went, find a warm waters hole and do that, you can find a solve anywhere in those search states and other search states, and they'll all be real because unfortunately these names were all roughly the same because the same pioneers were pretty much in the same areas and given the same names to things. So you will always have a devil's this, or a hell's this, or maybe not a 9 mile hole everywhere, but there are 9 mile holes. There's more than one 9 mile hole. There's 3 that we've talked about in the chase. There's one at Texas, there's one at where D.B. Cooper was supposed to have been, and there's one or 2 in Wyoming, maybe. Too much personal information there, Paul. Yeah, I heard the same sort of thing. Yeah, it's all interesting around Casper. The oil wells and that. Is all part of. If you look in the poem, you'll see those bits of information in there. My great-great-great-grandfather was Major Daniel Flint. Chase. There's another. What about Sam? Was it Samuel Chase? Is he related? No, I don't think so. Although it could be a good solve to another treasure hunt. Santa Fe. There is a Santa Fe in Texas. Yeah, I've done that. I've told Davey about that. Drawn a straight line from Casper to Santa Fe. So Forrest talked about the triangle, talked about a wedge, talked about different things, and I think I wrote to Forrest in an email saying how he could or would maybe could have tried to be in all 3 places. So be in Texas, be in Santa Fe, and be in Wyoming at the same time, and find that point that connects all 3. So Temple at Santa Fe and Wyoming, and then draw the triangle, and then the place where all of them meet could be the place where the treasure is. And using that as well, you'd have to use the 300, 500 miles west of Toledo to do that. So something I'll talk with David about. That there's only so many places that would be west or southwest of Toledo that would intersect the north of Santa Fe type sort of thing. I have a question. You mentioned the devil. The devil comes under many different names, and the word for devil is not as obvious as you think. I'm pretty certain that Maverick is part of that, and maybe even Joker, and maybe Rascal, and all those things that have been used in the chase. So whilst Lou Cipher, whilst those names are mentioned, I'm not sure if Forrest was saying the devil, if that makes any sense. Well, if they're already gay, then they would have to go straight, wouldn't they? Because they're not already straight. So they would have to go straight before they could go to it. So yeah, they must be able to go straight before they can go to it. So yeah, I'd say yeah. Yeah, I agree, Robert. And all planned. But the thing is, again, information outside of the poem can lead you anywhere, and it will all be 100% believable. And whilst that may be 100% correct, it's hard to know unless the poem should be able to tell you the answer. You should know the poem. You should know the answer because the poem will tell you. If the poem hasn't told you the answer, then it's hard to believe that you're going to be correct. I'm not saying you're wrong. You can't be correct. But if all you needed was the poem, then the poem must tell you the answer. It must do. There's no other way around it. If the poem is all you need, then the poem has to state the answer. And I think you have to know the answer, like Forrest said. You have to know the answer before you leave your house. Now, Ben was saying something that was a bit weird. He was saying, in his redneck voice or whatever it is, do you want me to spell it out for you? Go get it. It's probably still out there. But Forrest said, if you have a disability, tell me where it is and I'll get it for you. So you don't have to go boots on the ground or get it. And if it's been found, if that's the statement, then the disability that you haven't got it in the first place, is the same disability. You still can't get it. So it's a crazy statement to make, Ben. If you have a disability that you can't get the chest, whoever the solver is, if there's a reason why you can't get the chest, and you didn't get it then, you still can't get it now. Because that same reason that you didn't get it in the first place is the same reason that you're not getting it now. If you could have got it in the first place, you'd have got it in the first place. Just my opinion. Foxworthy fans, pitching or catching. Devil. Does indeed. Devil time. How do we get onto devils? That many devils? I can't remember that Imagination of Innocence, but that's not to say that it wasn't. I think if you have downloaded Dell's scrapbooks, if you type in Devil's Head, it'll pop up straight away. So it shouldn't take long to find that, or somebody could do it for you. I think I've got it downloaded. I might do that Devil's Head. It won't work on mine because no, it has to be on his site to come up. I haven't set it up so it pop up. I like that statement. I don't know what statement it was. Pig in a poke. That's what it's all about. Diablo's devil. Well, tell Candy to stop interfering and then you'll be out of the wood. Hi, INFJ. Is that the same money that he owes me? If so, thanks, INFJ. I haven't forgot. And if Lindy's there, remind him, Lindy, that he owes us money. 100 grand, I think it was. Yeah, I was looking the other day at the athletics and there's an Amiga bell. Isn't it weird? GDR. Let's scrapbooks. Alright. I can't remember the devil's head. It's not something that sticks in my memory. That's not to say it didn't, or it wasn't. Multitasking, Paul. You must be a woman if you're multitasking. You got a few laughs here. Well, normally candy tastes sweet. So, cheers, INFJ. Keep reminding him. Then I'll probably get a decent laptop. Well, don't do that in any springs. Well, especially metal ones. That hurt. Finish the song. Sweet as candy. No, that would be a Zozo thing, that would. To finish the song. Right. Yeah, if you look up the word warm, you'll see that, it's really hot. It's burning hot. So, warm can mean anything. What? That is absolutely way too much information, especially after you just having candy. Bill, that's not, it's not a good taste. Well, good luck with the wedding plan. I'd have to say either candy's been lying to us for ages, or that is, a quick relationship in order to get wedded. Well done, trusted, yeah. I find it hard to believe that all the things that Forrest said, people don't sort of just point them out and say, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, marry the clues. So you got Mary Candy. Well, Candy Ann was the name of the helicopter. And the Jolly Green Giant, which Dave has in his soul. But, from Superman to the Jolly Green Giant is a long stretch. Well, that could be Mary. Mary the clues. And that would be, no, maybe not. Mary the clues. Because in the chase there are many women's names like Ruth, Grace, Peg, June. That's another statement that Forrest made. I hid it in summer. Excuse me. In a sunny spot. It's in a safe place. Those things will prove that Forrest was telling the truth. Those statements. Sure for the one that did. Move with confidence. Those statements, if the solve comes out, I think, in my opinion, should aid I don't know, I think Paul's moving the chest. Maybe turning Indy around. Don't know. Are we invited, Paul? That's the big question. Are we all invited? And if you give me the money that you owe me, I'll be able to turn up. or just put on a private jet or something. I'll make it to the airport. Oh, you're all the way in Carolina. Well, Indy was. That's the other side. It's even further away. It's a good idea. It's good thinking, Steve. Get a new camper so you can borrow it. That's the way to go. Well, Superman can, make time go backwards. It's in the first film, wasn't it? Which is, hard to understand if he made time go backwards or just reverse the spin of the Earth. If you reverse the spin of the Earth, then it would just cause chaos. You do think a poo. So trust is, I think he's talking about his soul somewhere there. Yeah, that I mean, I can't say I saw that program that he's talking about with Aunt Esther, but she doesn't look very homely to me. But homely is in the words in the poem. You almost sound like Robert McQuaid. That's a New Mexico location. It's not too far. But there is also a engine head at, I'm only guessing now, probably 110, 111, 40 something. There's an Indian head there, which could be, and an alien head. And I can't remember. What's his name? Kilroy. Which is also talked about in the chase. Oh, well, if Bill's picking him up, he could probably get the flies from Ben. I haven't done those other hunts, but I think I know something about the Xavier. I left that on Randy's. It makes absolute sense to me. I could be wrong because I don't know what that is all about. But I left it on Randy's and Cows, Polar Express, New York, because it was something to do with Santa Claus. The girl was the opposite, which is Polar. Some other stuff, which to me went to Polar Express, New York, because the opposite is Polar. Santa Claus lives in the polar region. So, to me, is it Xavier Marks spot that one? Yeah, I think that's the Xavier one. So, I think it's the opposite, it's polar. And Santa Claus lives in the polar region. Has to do something with polar anyway. But like I say, I don't know nothing about the Xavier stuff, so that's him there. Popping the hands over the wall. And I don't know where you got that peace sign from. Trying to think that he might be somebody I know. Super Dave Osborne, no name is Stuart. Dave Osborne. Well, I don't know who Dave Osborne is, and no idea who Stuart Robert Einstein is, if he is Dave Osborne, unless you're talking about Dave Woodard. Now, I've always used his name as Dave Woodward, so somebody had to point me in the right direction and say, no, it's not Woodward, it's Woodard. Just shows what your mind wants, to let you believe. I see that name, it looks like Woodward. It's not. So across the street, right, yes. Someone did a similar thing with Forrest Fenn's face and the chest of the person. That was in New Mexico, probably near the same place. And you may be near Ghost Ranch, and I don't want to say his name, but other people down there. Super Mario's down there. The fish is down there somewhere. What else? Ghost Ranch is a good solve, the hanging tree. So another solve I did. Red River. Too many. The lockup, the green Aztec thing, Aztec highway stuff. Because of I can is Inca, maybe. Inca, keep my secret where. I did a lot of solves. Absolute shed loads of solves that other people have done as well. And I just think, oh, why did you make that statement, Forrest? It doesn't work. Again, I think Josh has just given out, information that is relevant and was meant to put it out because, like I say, the videos don't run chronologically. They are already done and then they're put out as and when needed, I think. An IMI or an Emmy? An IMI? What's an IMI? Yeah, Granite's encouraging. Yeah, an Emmy, cheers. Granite's encouraging Dave, and that's what I was saying, that's not very, unless Dave's part of it, it's not the human thing to do to ask someone to give up, their livelihood just because you want answers. Now, I don't want Dave, my asking Dave not to do it is to stop Dave losing those things that, he probably cherish. But if he's part of it, then maybe, it's part of, getting the right ending. Enemies. Yeah, if it's real, it got no hope. He's solved, even when he's talking, I sent a not too kind, and I was trying to be nice, too kind response that, even when he's doing his videos, he's sort of like saying stuff and he knows that it's not working. So he stops himself and carries on talking about something else. While, some of it is really good, it's not a simple solve that a child could do, and it's not a difficult, not impossible solve. And there's just too much outside of the poem. I think somebody said about his comic books, bring him to court. He would have to bring so much stuff with him to try and convince the judge about his soul, when really he should just bring the poem with him. Maybe, a laptop with just a few. Well, no, not even that. Wouldn't even need that. Well, you probably need to convince the judge of what you were saying, but that would be it. Once you told him what the truth was, he'd just go, haha, no way. Okay then. No, sorry, Dave. Like I say, it's not just taking it into court. He's sort of like bet everybody that he's right, and he's bet his whatever it's called, RV, whatever they're called. He probably owes about 10 people. One of them. So it's not just the court; it's people that he's done private bets with or statements to. Information is good. Yeah, I find it hard to believe what he's saying because it's like he has to stop and think about, the next bit. I do that, but not to the sense that he looks like, oh, I should have said that. Yeah, and that's what I said before, and I've said to David, he's trying to prove that Charlotte did something, but he can't. Well, he can't prove himself, and he can't prove Charlotte did something. But as I was saying, he went to the area without the cross. He says there was no cross there. It was dug up earth. So you already went to the area before the cross was there. So how did the cross get there? And why is it important to the soul if you already found it without the cross? Doesn't make sense. And he tried to make out that, look, this piece of wood is nailed down with the nail going down. And it's not even for that part of the poem. The nail down is for the beginning where warm water's salt. If you don't have that nailed down, you have nothing. But he's trying to claim it's nailed down at the end of his soul. But well, that's the wrong clue. It's not. It doesn't even go together. Yeah, I don't think he proved much in court, to be fair, which is what I was saying. Excuse me. Doesn't he can't prove his soul, and he can't prove that Charlo did anything, and I'll go so far as to say, look, Forrest said donate the chest. So if you're claiming that Charlo moved the chest, then you're not even supposed to have that chest anyway. You're supposed to get title to the gold, which is a reason why I think that Jack said is just the chest in the Thrill of the Chase book, because it's just gold, and that may be the title that you get. In the remembrance article, Pam says Forrest wrote it, so if Forrest wrote it, he could be from back east, and think of the author said Douglas, so that could be Forrest, and all sorts of things. Just make Dave in a bad position. What Dave was saying that he's not going to be quick because they must be. He's basically trying to blackmail them, isn't he? Give me something or else. Just crazy stuff. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but the cross wasn't there. He didn't need the cross to find it. The cross wasn't there. He said he found the spot and it was dug up. So there's no need for the cross. So how did he find the cross? How did he find the spot without the cross? Then you can't attach Superman to any of that, because he found it without Superman, without Kent and Esther, without Canasta, without any of that. He found it. So I don't know. Just yeah, I said it's. I've been there. I was talking to Dal or emailing Dal saying about the war memorial. The Jolly Green Giant that's there and everything. So of course, why couldn't it be Agri-Free? And Moreno Valley be the home of Brown and all sorts of things in that area. The keep forgetting it. The Scouts, beginning with P, That's just further down the road, maybe to the west and northwest, maybe from there. The Cimarron Valley or whatever it's called. Those sort of things, quite possibly. Who was rude to, who was rude to the solver? I don't know, you're the solver, you said. Who was rude to you, trusted? All white men come from all white? All white? All white men? It was a swimming pool. Well, a swimming pool could be, Forrest had only had to adjust a bit. Could be a swimming pool in the river somewhere. White man came from the east. The wise man came from the east. Like I say, that cross just, to me, even the fact that it's a man-made structure, the chest is not associated with a man-made structure. The fact that that cross is man-made and he's trying to associate it with the chest. Hi, Fendi, how you doing? Says it's wrong. To me, like that says it's wrong. Trusty told me that it was a old lady with with her pets. Excuse me, with her pets. She put it there. Yeah, you have to believe that. You have to believe that everything that Forrest said. He's going to tell the truth, but he might not tell all the truth. But it's going to be the truth. You just have to work out. Like I said at the beginning, he said, "I didn't say she was an old bat. I told her you said she was an old bat." Yeah, but what I'm saying is, the cross is irrelevant. If you found the general area, you found it without the use of Superman, without the use of Kent and Esther, you found it, all those things without that. And then you turn it around and say it's because of that. And then you try to say that the cross has a nail facing downwards on it. That's not even for that clue. The nail down is for the first clue. So you're telling the judge, look, here it is, it's nailed down. But that's where warm water's hole. It's not for the last clue or that piece of information it's got. So really, his agua fria should have a cross there that is nailed down. Do you understand what I'm saying? It shouldn't be at the end of its chase, it should be at the beginning. It should be agua fria where you have it nailed down. So if his cross is there and it's nailed down, then I can understand that. But if it's at the end, being nailed down is irrelevant. That's how I see it. If I was a judge, just you talking rubbish to me, mate. I don't see how Kent and Esther can be canasta. I just don't. Just make a liar out of Forrest, Kent and Esther. I don't see how that program, if that's not considered specialised knowledge, I don't know what is. And how you can reach from that for her to be a homely girl. Didn't look like a homely girl to me. I mean, I don't know the program. I just saw a picture of the lady. That doesn't look like a homely girl. That looks like an old lady. And I wouldn't say the beautiful old lady that made the pineapple pies either. Yeah, it's just there are so it's not in water. It's in water but not underwater. It's not that either. It's not people 200 feet from it, many 500 feet from it, because there are people 10 feet from it or 12 feet from it. All the things that Forrest said about it just it don't make sense. They don't make sense. Somebody find a car wrecking for Kent in essence in the canyon. Well, Cimarron Canyon and Moreno Valley are better, better to that than, you know, had a soul around there. I can't remember what it was. I know the soul was a memorial. The home of ground could have been, the scouts, blah blah blah. I can't remember the bit that crosses near the lake and goes across. Can't remember that bit. So many songs, so many, crazy. Yeah, he seems to skip. Is what I'm saying. He sort of like says things and then goes, "Oh, hang on, no, that doesn't work. That's not right." And then he says, "Trust me." It's like, well, why should we trust you? You're not giving us the right information. Maybe there was an ash burrow. Maybe there was. Like I say, it doesn't matter what your soul is. If the poem doesn't tell you, if your poem doesn't tell you what your Homer Brown is, what your Warm Water's Hole is, if the poem doesn't give you the information, all you need is a poem. If you get any information outside of the poem, I find it hard to believe that's correct. And I've done it with information outside of the poem. And then I look at it and I say, right, this is the soul that I've got. What does Forrest say? And I throw in the words that Forrest said, and it says, nope, that's wrong. Elevation's wrong. There are people, 20 feet from it. There are no people at all. That's some of it that people don't work out. I think somebody said something the other day about their soul. There was nobody would ever be there. It's like, well, Forrest said there were many people 500 feet. So as part of your soul, there has to be a point around there where there's going to be a lot of people. And if there isn't, it can't be right, because that makes Forrest a liar, and I don't think Forrest is a liar. So there has to be, in your area, lots of people, in that vicinity area. Yeah, I just can't see that. Yeah, no, finding out, you're right there. Finding out is pretty cool. Yeah, so early when I first started in the chase, I was talking to people about Elvis, and as I said, I thought I was trying to help them with their soul, but maybe they were trying to help me with mine. I didn't realise, but yeah, Elvis was pretty cool. So I think I know where you are in regard to that. No, not Forrest Elvis. Human trail. It depends what you mean by isolated. If you look at the word isolated, I think you could say yes. Same as if you look up the word associated with the structure. A human trail, on its own, isolated. Is it in an isolated spot? So if you were 10 foot from a picture in a gallery, is that in an isolated spot? Of course it is. There's a rope there and it's set aside and it's on its own. That's 10 foot away, but it's isolated from everything else. It's on a wall, it's behind a barrier, and it's isolated. So is the chest in an isolated spot? Depends what's in front of it, which is why I said before, it's in a place that you won't go. And nobody's going to stumble on that chest. So there has to be a barrier that will stop people going to that point, that place. Whether it just be, some people will keep off the grass and they go on. And, some people, if there's a little wooden fence around there, they won't, because there's a little wooden fence and it says, go up. Yeah, but that's to you, Ghost Dancer, not to Forrest. So words don't mean what you think they do. So according to Forrest, isolated might be, behind a barrier, trees in the way, a river in the way. Nobody goes there because there's something that's stopping them, and therefore it becomes isolated. But it doesn't have to be a big distance away. It just means it's separate from where you are. And I could be wrong, but I try to think, if words don't mean what you think they do, then what do they mean? I try and look at every possible meaning of it, and then work it into what Forrest has said about everything else, and try and come up with answers to why he said those things. And that's why I try to work out, sold the first 2 clues, you're 50% there. What? How is that possible? You can't be 50% there if you sold the first 2 if there's 9 clues. But I come up with an answer because I come up with an answer of, sold the first 2 clues, walk right by the chest. Little girl from India can't get closer than the first 2 clues. If I told you Homer Brown, you go right straight to it. Why are you worried about the blaze if you know the Homer Brown? I'll try to work out all those answers, and they will make sense. And then when you know those answers, it's like, bloody hell, this is simple. Yeah, I don't know those big words, Fendi. I've said that, David. If he is, then it sets precedent and blah blah blah. So it could be, the whole point of this, I think, was Forrest threw time in the bin. This is the time that he threw in the bin. This time is wasted. He's thrown it in the waste, and then there'll come a time when he takes it out of the waste. But this was necessary. Forrest had to throw the time in the waste, and then at some point we'll take it back out. Yeah, trusted. Isolated means different things to different people, but Forrest said, he thought about it and they said, yeah, it's in an isolated spot because if people don't normally go there and it's separated, it can only be 10 feet away, but it's still isolated. Like, say, the picture in the galleries, they're all isolated. You can't touch them, you can't go to them, which is probably why he said, please touch, as opposed to, don't touch. Equally weighted. Well, for me, the 9 clues just talk about the same thing. For giggles, see Jonathan Stoof article. The problem is I don't try not to look for too much stuff outside of the poem unless I found it in the poem. To me, or I tried to look for the statements that Forrest made, which are pretty much, nearly all of them are in there, including, the redneck statement. Well, there's another statement you need to work out. Why did Forrest say about the trails? He likes to go off the trails. If you ain't the lead dog, then. But it has to be in a park if there's trails. It has to be. There's nobody walking there. If there's no trail, then nobody walk there. So we wouldn't be talking about trails. He's only talking about trails because they exist in the area where it is. And the only place that trails are where people go. So therefore those places that people go are the parks. If it's just the wilderness, there's no trail. There's just grass. And you make, a trail for a short time and then the grass just goes back to normal and there's no trail again. So Forrest is talking about the trails, the tracks in the wilds of nature, blah, blah, blah. He's talking about trails. So then it must be a place that people go. Plus, he says, 200 feet and then many 500 feet. So it's a place where a lot of people go. Has to be. Well, a lot of people go to parks. They don't, if it's in the wilderness, you don't get many people 500 feet away from a place. So, to me, he's telling us everything in his statements. It's just people aren't listening. My opinion, I could be totally wrong. It's just the way I think. One clue is more important than the others. One clue is the word that is key, and then use the others. If you don't have the first clue nailed down, which I think Dave was trying to use, but got it wrong because the cross is at the end of the solve and not at the beginning. There is a word that is key, but you need all of them. The word is in the poem. If you don't know the importance of the first, people underestimate the importance of the first clue, which tells you everything, in my opinion. Lots of things. Research weighing the zone of death. That there are strange creatures out there. Steve Root heading watching marathons, sitcom, shit. Yeah, I do know this show. Kelly Bundy. Well, you wouldn't know you had the right way of warm water's hole. See, there's another thing that you have to work out. How, let's say Dave solved, I'm not picking on Dave's, just that, we were talking about it, but how do you arrive back at the beginning? You don't. You don't have the right way of warm water salt to the other chest, but, you're supposed to arrive back at the beginning and you had to place for the first time. Nowhere near the beginning. His beginning was at Agua Fria, and he's, miles away. Another thing Forrest said is if you're walking miles, no. So, because K-Pro again, gave the information that she was walking a long distance. As Forrest said, if you're walking more than a mile, then you're walking too far. So, not far but too far to walk is a mile, according to Forrest. If you're walking a mile, you're walking too far. So Stu being the video game test in 2006. So I don't go outside the poem, so unless the poem told me that, I wouldn't know it. Very possible, and that's, there were many Vietnam souls because of that, and the War Memorial in New Mexico because of that, and the Jolly Green Giant and all the things that go with it. They had to try and put it all together, whatever those hints or clues were. Yeah, that could quite well be true, but it's not in Dave's case, is what I'm saying. He started at Agua Fria and ended up at a car park, and there's nothing similar in those 2 points, unless there was a cross at Agua Fria that had Kent and Esther on it, and was nailed down and was his warm water hole. Well, onions are layers. Strip away the layers. But again, that would be specialized knowledge. You'd have to go out of the poem to get that specialized knowledge, wouldn't you? Forrest was, in my opinion, could be wrong. Forrest was trying to tell everybody how to solve, whether they were right or wrong, by giving these answers. And if you were, anything like somebody who's keen and interested, you'll go, hang on a minute, Forrest just said this, so that means it can't be right. My solve can't be right. Whoever he was addressing at that particular point in time. So, we're 200 feet away from it and walked by the chest. Gave me a picture. So whoever gave him a picture at that point in time would hopefully assume that they were 200 feet and walk right by the chest. Now, whilst you can say, well, there's probably 100 odd people, but at least there's 100 odd people that know that they gave Forrest a picture and they could well have been 200 feet from it. So, taking into account there were many 500 feet from it, even if only half of them only had a place where people were 500 feet from it, they should be able to reduce that down if they use the information that Forrest gave. But nobody does. They just turn around and say Forrest is a liar. It wasn't there, and I found it, or somebody moved it, or which is what he said. But the important thing to remember is don't sue, Forrest said. I said in my poem, I'll give you title to the gold. You're not getting the chest. You're not. Capo asked the question in 2019. Whoever finds the chest, and this is just paraphrasing, whoever finds the chest, do they get the chest and all the contents, etc., etc. Diamonds, rubies, whatever she said. And then she repeated it again, and Forrest said, "Well, I said in my poem, I'll give you title to the gold." So that's a no. No, you don't get the chest. No, no. I want to see it go back to the Smithsonian. I'm sure he said, going back to the Smithsonian or to a museum. So no. Why are you shouting that you found a chest? And Forrest specifically said before the announcement, it says in my poem, I'll give you title to the gold. You don't get the chest and the contents. Why are you screaming about chest? Anybody who has a soul that's screaming about chest needs to take a good look at themselves and wonder why they're not listening to Forrest when he says, I said in my poem, I'll give you title to the gold. I want the chest to go back to the museum, blah, 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 whatever it was. Okay, maybe. If there were two lesbians, probably, yeah. Or not a bad idea if you're going to Cynthia, I suppose, according to what everybody's saying. So, the scissors and the stick and those were hints in a way. But another thing, what is Dave's solve that he's going to write on the post-it note? Excuse me. Just saying Superman solve doesn't tell you anything. Doesn't explain that it should be in New Mexico in a car park where Forrest is going to throw his body on that chest and no one's going to notice him because he's going to dare us to come find him. Morning, everyone. Most people have overlooked the scissors side of how. Hi, Davey. How's it going? Yeah, and that was the whole point. Forrest said, I find it funny that I'm the only one who knows what I'm saying. My biases. I don't have any biases. Ask Davey. I try to think of every possible scenario and then come up with an answer to what that was. But I got better and the story changed. So, but he also said that they were a better family. Strange thing to say, isn't it? A better family. Well, I'm going on the fact that Forrest said the chest would be donated and you would get title to the gold. So what are you looking for? Just a blip. Everybody's in New Mexico. What's going on in New Mexico? Everyone's in New Mexico. Yeah, I know you like, but there are other people that said they're in New Mexico today. Oh, what was I talking about today about New Mexico? Oh, El Dorado. El Dorado in New Mexico. But also there's Truthful Consequences in New Mexico. That's a weird name for a place. I know why it's called Truthful Consequences, but who'd have thunk? So the Spanish went there and there was an El Dorado. Let's go all along. Hi Nikki, how you doing? It's called Hot Springs. Yeah. Yes, it did. It's weird what you find out. Crazy. Some of the things I find out, I don't know. I look at myself and think, why are you even interested in that, mate? Why did you find that out? So I'm sure if you had a chance to speak to Forrest, he'll tell you I sent him lots of emails with lots of weird stuff on. But that weird stuff was, to me, had a point, and I was trying to, like I do with people in chase now, I make statements and hope that they give me a response so that I can respond to it. And Forrest never did. I didn't know that he didn't reply to anyone. So, the intent was to say something, then get a reaction, and then add something else. Which is what I did today. I told him that the soul would go to court, and he took it as I was saying his soul, the true soul was his soul that was going to court. And it's like, no, you fool. Not what I said at all. Oh, right. So that's small, is it? I think it's sort of, changing the name to that. I think more people have gone past it or to it than would have done if it was still left the same name. Yeah, so that's scary. Like I say, the chase took me to lots of places, and even a video game, crazy video game that I read the walkthrough of, because of the chase. I never would have even bothered with it if it weren't for the chase and how it was talking about an area that could be the area. So I'm not discounting what you're saying. I can't remember what it was called. I think it had a wolf. A wolf guided the wolf to these places. Did I play? I can't remember if I played the game or read the game. Hi Zozo. Happy Saturday now. So I'm gonna have to go to bed soon because work in the morning, 4 hours sleep if I go now. That's not good. 4 hours sleep. Not good at all. I have to thank you for not making videos that have nothing to do with the chase and see if it's on behind it returns. Thank you. Yeah, my thought process is I'm not trying to prove myself correct, or not trying to prove me and Davey correct. I'm trying to prove Forrest correct, and I'm not trying to slag anyone off or belittle their thoughts or ideas. I'm just saying, look, this is what I think about what you're saying, and because of that, I find it hard to believe that you are correct, even though I think you're right in what you're saying. It's just my thought process stops me because it doesn't work with what Forrest said. So whilst trying to point that out, I'm not saying you're wrong because I don't know what the answers are. Or I'm not Forrest, so I think I know what the answers are, but I'm not Forrest, so I can't say you're 100% wrong, and I can't say I'm 100% right. The only person that can is Forrest. But the facts that I give are that Forrest said, the chest going back, and that, he said he would give title to the gold in the poem. So that, to me, says, why is everybody shouting about chest? When Forrest specifically said to K-Pro in that interview, and you can check it, the 2019 interview, November, and Forrest said, I'll give title to the gold. So all you should be expecting is title to the gold, whether you found a chest or not. It doesn't matter if you found a chest or not. That was going to be donated and you were going to get, hi money, how you doing? That was going to get donated and you were going to get title to the gold. So your argument should be, Charlotte hasn't given me title to the gold and the chest hasn't been donated. Those sort of things. Let's hold on to Phil's chest. What are you on about now? I only talk about what Forrest said. Where were you when we needed a song earlier to Sozo? Can't remember what the song was now, but we needed one doing. Are you still here, Pat? It's gone very quiet. Or she's gone very quiet, or they've gone very quiet, or that person has gone very quiet, or whatever the term is that I have to use. So, whilst people give information, outside of the chase taking place, even if it is relevant, I would only look into it if it was in the poem, if it actually existed in the poem. I can't get that might be my bias, but I believe it to be a factual statement. If Forrest said all you need is a poem, if you're using any other information, you can believe what you want with that information. You can go wherever you want. You can, find a topic and then follow that through to the end, and it'll be as real as anything. But it doesn't tell you where warm water's hole. You only believe that's where warm water's hole. It doesn't tell you, if you're braving in the wood. It doesn't tell you the end is ever drawing nigh. It doesn't tell you heavy loads of water high. It doesn't tell you place for the meek. They're all your own made up interpretations. As I said, the chest that was supposed to be found was supposed to be donated, and the title to the gold could be the chest that's in the Thriller's Chase book. You find that chest and open the lid, you're either going to laugh or cry. That poem is more than genius. I don't know. I have no idea how it was done. I can see some of the stuff that was done in there. I haven't talked about the anagrams much that I did, but I did the anagrams. The sliding trick that Troy did, and to some extent, Tim. And no, I don't think Queen does. I think Queen just gets the information differently. The similar information that the Dutchman from the East gets, Steve GTA, there are people that read the poem that get information. Fenn reads the poem, gets information. You can't deny that poem gives out information. The thing is, what is the information that Forrest wants you to take out from that poem? And I'll tell you now, there is some information in there that will blow your head off. Yeah, that's what everyone's saying. The poem wasn't around in 2008. I know there's some trickery in it. The simple solve is not, the way I read the poem. The simple solve is just simple. In the sense it's not about colouring anything or stuff like that. But the other way to read the poem is crazy, crazy, crazy. And you have to, well, it's crazy. The version that we've got is easy to solve once you know what the answer is. Um, yeah, so Trusted can say the same. Five Leaf can say the same. Talk about Evan now. Me and David can say the same. Tim can say the same. The poem is more genius than people would imagine, and that's just with one person's soul. Your soul will be different than mine different than Tim different than Five Leaf different than Trusted different than Dave Man from the East, Dave Man from the East different than Barbara different than Bill different than GDR. They're all different and they're all genius. So you can say that it's genius, but you have to say it's 10 times, 12, 20 times, 30 times more genius because everyone's got a soul that's different. And that's the thing. You can't all be the correct solver. It's impossible. But that's probably how it's set up, and that's the chaos. The government can't take anybody to court over a solve where there's 30 solvers and nobody knows who's the real solver. The poem will prove itself when people realise what the poem says. It doesn't need anything else. Thank you, Luck. Yeah, I've got to go as well because it's time. Cheers, thank you. I've got 4 thumbs up. Woohoo! From 31 people. That's pretty good for me. And I've only been on 2 hours, so that's pretty good for me as well. I do appreciate everybody being in. I thank you, Luck, for reminding me that I should go because it's 0042. Or if you want to move them around a bit, it's 4200, which people like to talk about. Evan, there's that much in that poem. I don't know how Forrest did it. I was saying to Davey, the government tend to give info, but the info you get is redacted. So you do your FOIAs. This poem's not redacted. This poem's not redacted. Well, I said to Davey as well, I've given out information that could explain the many different possibilities in the poem, not necessarily in the right order, but each possible way to get information. And I've talked about playing games like chess and canasta and Scrabble and tag, games that kids would probably play when they were young. The anagrams, obviously game of chess, the map, trying to understand, so why must I go? Lots of different things to give you answers. And each time trying to work out, what it was that Forrest was saying. But lately I've only done like these things because I can't share the screen, so I just talked about stuff. But I think, there is a map in the poem. There is obviously a word, and that is based, for me, based upon Forrest saying one foot on top of the other, continuous, chronological, continuous, touching, following, holding pattern, as it were, circling the poem. Because he said, another thing that he said was he was going in circles. So, if you follow the poem in a circle, maybe. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Yeah, Forrest did mention bones. Take the chest and leave my bones. It's all questionable, but it's all made to happen. that's another thing, four cards and a joker. What does that really mean? Might be a typo that Idaho read, but he's talking about the Bundys, and that was way before then. Thank you, imagination. Like I said, I'd like to know or get to meet like the people that I speak to, because it's difficult not to have some sort of affinity with everybody that I speak to in the chase. So at some point, it would have been nice to sort of like meet for who we are, rather than just words on a computer screen. But I thank everybody for turning up. Thanks, Davey B again, waking up just in time as I'm going. Obviously, there's been no news, but I thought probate was finished around now, and Dave McCracken would be, finished around now. So I'm hoping Dave sees sense. I'm not trying to say his soul's wrong. His soul's irrelevant. I'm just trying to say, look, the chest in that interview. Look at that interview, Dave. 2019. Forrest was asked a question: does the finder get the chest and the contents? And then she listed off contents, and Forrest said, "I said in my poem, I'll give you title to the gold." So how does that give you claim to a chest? It doesn't. It gives you claim to title to the gold. So change, if you're going to make a case, you'd have to change it to title to the gold. Well, how old was Justin then? 2008. That was 15 years ago. 2006, 17 years ago. He would have been a young gentleman, wouldn't he? 17, 18, 20, somewhere around there. What was he doing talking to Forrest then? Talking Christian work. Father in library. You are the only one you know. And you're the only one I know. I don't know. But I think, Forrest did something that was as much for him as other people. But, I think when the other people see what it is that he did do, hats off. Yeah, 24 years old. Forrest was about to come up with that poem. 2 years. Are you sure? Didn't do that poem in 2 years to involve Jonathan Stoof in that. Considering it took 15 years to write. Comic book keys. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can just look in the poem for mine because Forrest wrote him down. I don't know how, but he did. Yeah. Okay, all good. I need to go. Need to get some sleep. Thank you all. Don't know why I'm around these. I appreciate your company. I know it's not as late where you are, but I need to go sleep, get some before I go work. Any other day I'll probably start later, but not this one. I try not to be biased in the things that I say and do. Not in everyday life, just in the chat, because there are too many videos that Forrest put out that said it's not a good thing to believe your own thoughts. Once you start doing that, you tend to drift, and not in a good way. So thanks again. Take care. Ciao for now. Do appreciate the thumbs up and the comments. Be safe, everyone.